one thing I wanted you to do, I think I'd sent this to you, but you had sent it to me last year or a couple of years ago, is the Hands International that is coming up on July the 21st to the 24th. Um, this, of course, has to do with uh, the Adventist Hospital in Cookreed.
Okay.
And that whole program that is coming back again this year. I think a lot of people took advantage of it last year, but I really want you to try to get people to sign up early because people wait until the actual day or days of the event. But by that time, they're 100 in the line, if you know what I mean, or 1,000 in the line, because a lot of people want to take advantage of it. So when you get time, you could always make mention of it.
I would. I tried to get the CEO on a couple of weeks ago, but he was kind of tied up. I'll go at him again this week and see if I get him on because he'll be able to deal with all the issues. Yeah. I will try to do that.
All right.
I'll try to do that. Okay, my brother.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Yeah, man. Be blessed.
Yep.
This morning we are here. We are here. Have a special program I'm doing. So before I'm not seeing my dear friend, what's the name? Alison. I'm not seeing Alison, so maybe I have to go into the devotion without that. So I hope she didn't forget. But I'm not seeing that. So this morning I just have a short prayer. Our Father and our God, we give thee thanks for your grace and for your mercy, for your love, for what you have done for us in time past and what you are doing for us today. Father, I pray that as we come together, that you will be in our midst to bless. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You know, the text, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And sometimes it is skirt over on the importance of this. It is saying that this is a love beyond. This is a love beyond anything, any kind of love that you have known. This is a love that goes beyond that. And the Bible tried to put it in the context by saying he gave his only Son because he loved a father and a child or a parent and a child is a love that we know that knows no boundaries. And when the Bible says someone is willing to give a child up for you, someone willing to let their child die for you, it is love, unless the person is mental. It is love beyond reproof, beyond whatever you can think about, that this person is saying, I want you to live. And because I want you to live, I'll allow my son to die. And sometimes we gloss that over. And in fact, some preachers make us gloss it over and making us feel that God is just ready and willing to punish. No parent is just willing and ready to punish the child. In fact, some parents make excuses for the children when the children are doing things that they ought not to be doing. So the fact that this parent is saying that because I want you to be saved, I will allow my child to die. It is a demonstration of a love that we cannot put the love for God in mere words. I think the Bible says should a mother forget her suckling child? She may, but God will not. So you continue to use this illustration as a parent love for a child because there's no way we can really understand and appreciate this love apart from the family issue, the mother-father issue and that child. So what he's trying to say, even those love that you are thinking about, God loves us more than that. So when we are broken and when we are abused and when we fall on hard times and we begin to think that this God is far away, no, he's trying to say to you, I love you so, regardless of what you have done. The parents still love the child. But I want you to walk in a certain way because that's what parents want from their children. But there's nothing that you can do that God will say, I don't love you. And this is why he continued to have that motif of a parent and a child, that we will understand that his love for us know no boundaries. He will understand the greatness of that love. And this morning, oh friend, as we come together, I want to say we are here this morning because of God's love. I'm presenting God's love to you this morning. And may you understand that all that I'm saying this morning, all that Akira and Candice will ask this morning, is not geared for us as a program, but is geared in some way that it will help you and make your life more abundant. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we give thee thanks for your grace and your mercy. Take over this program, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, Candice, Akira, how are you doing this morning? Are we on you? Yes, we are. Akira, how are you doing this morning? I'm not hearing either of you. Everybody absent. Yes,
Hi,
Alice.
Pastor. Good morning.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say you're Augustine. All right, this one, Alison is not here. And I just want to make a promo. Okay, at the end, if I have time, I will do that promo of the program's promo. But as for now, we're just going to the program. I want to say this morning, it's counseling 101 that you are receiving this morning. Those who have not been counseled before you get married, I want you to pull your wife or husband together and listen. And those who have been counseling people in pretty unorthodox way, I want you to listen. Because this morning I want to speak about pre-marriage. The reason why I think that it is important is due to the data on marriage. The data begs the question of what is wrong with marriage. If you look at the data, you will see, well, what could be wrong with this thing? It is said that the first marriage, approximately 43% end in divorce. And when we speak about marriage and divorce, we are not speaking so much about the separation or the non-divorce or the living together. We are not all of that is not in the 43%. 43% is the official document. But then there are people who separate. And then there are people who live together separately. All that add to that will bring you to somewhere 60 something percent. And then in the second marriage, when people marry a second time, about 60% end in divorce. So when a person marry and they divorce and they remarry, in that remarriage, 60% ends in divorce. And the reason for that is once you do something, it become easier to do the second time. So you find there's a higher. And then in the third marriages, about 73%. So you see you're getting higher. So once you get divorced, the propensity for you to be divorced again, that propensity is very high. Because as I said, you recognize there's an option after that first marriage. Once you get divorced, you begin to look at it as an option if things don't go well. When you get into the first marriage, you do not see those options. You do not think those options until something happens. And when something happens, you recognize it becomes easier and easier and easier to do. Because now, if this thing don't work, if he gets me angry, if she gets me angry, I can simply bring an end to the thing through divorce. The first marriage thought is not like that. A foundational study conducted in 2014 indicated the top causes of divorce were lack of commitment, infidelity, and conflict. The study elaborated by stating that the most common issues that trigger divorce were infidelity, domestic violence, and substance abuse. And friend, as you recognize, you come to know me, I am not one who just talk things. I make sure I research, I make sure, and when I say research, I don't mean just search YouTube and think I get information. I mean, collating the information gathered, looking at the hypothesis that is being tested here. I'm talking about looking at correlations. I'm talking when I begin to present from the research, I'm presenting something that can stand the test of empiricism. And so what I'm presenting to you today is not a hearsay. It's something that can stand the test of empiricism. They said that the lack of commitment, infidelity, conflict, domestic violence, and substance users disorder are in the way of creating the problem of marriage. It is said in the United States, the average marriage is 8 years. I mean, 8 years is a short time. Some of the cake is still there. So it's 8 years. And if that is the problem, then what can we say? Now, all these studies focus on one thing. They focus on why people divorce and how to save marriages. But we fail to recognize that the past is a most important asset in understanding the present and setting the stage for the future. If you don't have a knowledge of the past, the present will make no sense and completely forget the future. And that's why I am approaching this today from the point of preparation for marriage. And because of lack of preparation for marriage, marriages are not working. So this morning, I want to deal with that pre-marriage, pre-marriage counsel, as they call it, that whole aspect that is premarital. And so when you take me down the road this morning, I want you to look at what I'm saying and keep me focused on that. Okay, folks?
Hi. Hi, Pastor. Good morning, and good morning to
Good
all of
morning.
yours online.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that, marriage is a topic that we are all interested in, right? The unmarried and the
Yeah.
married as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned just now preparation. When you say marriage preparation, what does that necessarily entail? What does that mean?
All right. That means that marriage is an institution. It has structure and it has order. We are looking at marriages falling apart. There are two things that came out of the Garden of Eden that is untainted and the same way that God has brought it out. And that is the Sabbath, the 7-day Sabbath, and that is marriage. Those two instruments, you can have how much Friday worship and how much Sunday worship and how much it remain as God has created it. The Sabbath doesn't change, man. And you can have all sorts of marriage, homosexual marriage, what they call same-sex marriage. You can have all kind of hookup, all kind of thing you can call it as marriage, common law marriage. Marriage remain the same way that God has let it out. So in order for you to embrace that, just as in Sabbath, you have to prepare for marriage also. No, the Bible asks the question, can two walk together unless they agree? People are socialized differently. Regardless of how much they love each other, they learn from their environment, their core beliefs and their value system. That is learned in your home. You are coming from, and as you all know who have siblings, although you have siblings, you all have fights, but you all came up in the same home, same mother, same father, ate the same thing, drank the same thing, exposed mostly to the same thing, yet you fight with your siblings. So if in a situation where you are together, everything is being done together, you can still have these disagreements. Think about how more difficult it will be when you are dealing with a marriage to someone who have been socialized different from you, who may have different value system from you, who may still have a different worldview from yours, who may see their mother and their father different from how you see your mother and your father. This is the call for conflict. So then when you approach marriage, you begin a preparation. And that preparation must start with religion. If both of you are unreligious, fine. But if both of you have different religion, then that's an issue that you need to deal with, because while the butterflies are in the heart, in the stomach, and you're only dreaming, and stars and hearts are flowing from your mind, there is a time when real life begins. So because you look at the big issues that can create problems, and one of the larger issues of creating problem is the issue of religion. especially both of you are serious about your religion. It might be okay when you are together, but when the children start coming, it's going to be a difficult thing to maintain if you are not there with the same religion. So that's part of your preparation. Another part is your compatibility in values. If your values are different, you'll need to talk it. You'll need to ask about it. You'll need to settle on what is good. Because if you go into the marriage with that with non-compatibility of values, it will play itself out. Even before the children comes, it will play itself out. And then you might ignore things. But when you ignore things, they do not go away. So you are there now. You see that he or she doing things that you recognize that is very obscure, if there is a word to use, and you can't deal with it. But every time the love runs and you feel that you made a mistake, but you ponder in it, it will only lead to disaster someday. I remember in school dealing with this um this example. I want to give you a better word, of a guy who got married, and after 9 years, he filed for irreconcilable differences. And what were the irreconcilable differences? His wife will use the toothpaste, and she will squeeze the tube, and it become all crumpled, and it give him a very, very wheezy feeling. And then after 9 years, he divorced the wife based on that. And some would say, but what trouble is this? Yes, you see, when she squeezed it the first time, he may have said, love, honey, that is making me very nauseous. And she may have done it a second and a third until she keep doing it. And then time she does it, until it came a point where he said, no more. No more. You see, the little things where at a value base turns into big things if it's not handled in a constructive way. So that's why the values. And then you need to do a temperament analysis. You ought to do that. Your counselor, and I want to say this, when you're getting ready for marriage, do not go to your counselor because he and his wife have been living for 50 years, or she and her husband. That is not the way to know if he can counsel, because you are not his wife. And because you are not his wife, things that his wife may allow, you will not allow. Things that his wife may find is okay to go along with, you will not find those things okay to go along with. And so make sure if you have a counselor who is trained or who understands the rudiment of counseling. And sometimes people do not start at that point. So they go with the whole idea, well, okay, Pastor Johnny, he and his wife living for 60 years, he must be a good counselor because they must know what to do to keep them for 60 years. No, no, sir. No, sir. No, no, no. You are not his wife. So you need to have a temperament analysis. The temperament analysis will discover a lot of things about compatibility. What's my temperament? Am I choleric? Am I melancholy? Am I phlegmatic? And then what is my fiance? What is their temperament? These things go to keep a marriage in place.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Pastor. So you brought up some important issues, the issue of religion and compatibility and temperament. But I want to ask you about the issues of race and age difference. Do you think those things create issues, and how does that play into our marriage?
Okay. And this is why I said that when you are going to get married, make sure your counselor is trained, because these are issues, race and age, especially race, are issues that are in great need of addressing. Hence, premarital counseling is a must, friend, especially if you are dealing with racial differences or age difference of 20 years and things like that. You need to have counseling because there are things that will happen that you need to be prepared for it. And I'm not speaking about, as I said, your pundit or your imam or your pastor because they're living with a wife for a long time. It doesn't work like that. Race is a social monster by itself. So you must address race frontally. There are issues that you may not see while the love is growing. A good counselor will walk you through those mountains that you will face because of race. So do not say we love each other and we don't care what they think, We love each other and we are going to get married. You see, marriage is not only you and I. Marriage is our family too, our friends. Marriage it comes in the context of our social order and who we rhyme with and who we talk to. Marriage brings our families into it, our brothers, our sisters, our nephews, our nieces, our uncles. All those are part of it because children will come. And if these things are not understood, then when children come, you may just feel that they're against you and say that they're racial and all kind of things. But there are some fundamental issues that you need to deal with. And the first is your family, your immediate family. What do your immediate family think? I'm not saying because they think that this race thing you will marry because of them, but at least they should have a clear understanding of why you are doing what you are doing. They must have a clear understanding. And if after many try, they do not buy into that whole aspect, then you leave it up when God is satisfied with whoever you marry. So then you let God be the final arbiter in the thing and leave them alone. But it can't be something just shun. It's something you need to work with until they understand why you are where you are. And the age difference is another issue. And once the age running, like I always ask when I'm married, when I'm counseling men and women, I try to make sure that the woman is not younger than the man. Although there's no law that says that cannot happen. But it creates less problem when that happens. And well, you see, I only have about 40 minutes, so I can't go through exactly the issue because I know you have other questions. But I can tell you that's an issue. And a good counselor will tell you. Usually I say guys should be 7 years and more than the young lady. 10 years is a good. And so I say, but that's too old. No, it's not too old. Women mature quicker than men do. And that maturity is also an age issue also. So a man 50 years and a woman 50 years, they are two different people you are dealing with. And for most part, the woman at 50 will look older than that man at 50. And when you get to 60 and things like that, that woman tends to be much older than that guy. Look much older than that 60-year guy when they put the 60-year man and the 60-year one. So I leave room for that. And those who want to come at me, I will tell you, in the Bible, there were 13 and 40. So don't think I'm saying something that is spurious here. It's just that women age quicker than men. They mature quicker than men. So therefore, I tend to try to leave room for that in the age process. And then, okay, let's move on. Let's move on. There's so much thing I can say on those two things. Let's move on.
Pastor, as you speak about, the issue of like age and race, you mentioned there love, right?
Mhm.
What about people's love for each other in dealing with these issues? Doesn't love build the bonds that hold people together? Couldn't love
Yeah.
outweigh these issues and fight through it? Persons fight through it because of the love they have for each other?
Okay, this is a yes. Yes. I want to say yes. But the Bible says love conquer all. So I don't want to go contrary to the Bible. But there are other things that will come to the play that will create, there are other social issues that will come to the play that will determine how this love is going to play out. You see, if the parties have been sexually active with other parties, although they love each other in this arrangement, this issue becomes more, the issue of love becomes more complex. Hence, when you are counseling people, you approach it from the dating history of both parties. The counselor ought to discuss it. And those who are listening want to be counselors, they can go what I'm saying, one by one, point by point, because it will help you when you counsel. Their dating history is important. And the reason why the dating history is important, who they have been with, and is important. You don't have to come and itemize, well, there went and this I do, but you must have an understanding that James and John and Frank and Sugrim and Chin and all those guys that you were with, they will play a part in your marriage. And not to be biased, let me go the other way too. Do not think that Carol and Tita and Joy and Susan, I don't think they are not part of your issue. These things stay with you. Your past relationships affect your present relationship. So methods must be developed for you to deal with the thalamic regions, the thalamic regions of the brain, because it's in those regions where memory, where we have memory, where things that you have done in the past will come back to you in the present. And sometimes, like when we study, let's talk about sex. I had mentioned to you that a lady came to me, a girl came to me, and she was having a problem with her husband, and she said to me, Pastor, he doesn't satisfy me in bed. And I asked her, I said, well, what do you mean by that? She said, he doesn't. I said, well, help me. How he is not satisfying you? What? And she looked at me, like a deer caught in the headlight, because she wondered, well, how could this pastor be so stupid? But I was trying to help her to understand how we are to deal with this. Because what is happening to her is because of her relationship. I remember I said that last week with my friend there, and he was shocked. I don't think he bought into it, but yes. When you have these relationships, you call them, those issues from those relationships they stay with you, and you remember what your past boyfriends did, and sometimes the present boyfriend is not there. You tend to think about it, and because sex juggle your memory. So while love can conquer all in a sense of when all things are equal, when your dating history carries a certain spectrum, the issue of love conquering all, you have a challenge with that. The good news is, just as the Bible says, you can find methods to help to deal with this. And because you are in love with the person, that's if you are in love with the person. Yeah? If you marry because the person had a good body, the shoes used to fit them good and the dress used to fit them good, and now you start to think about things that happen, the marriage will not hold. But if you are in love and these things start happening, you will hold, because the idea of love conquers all will come to the fore. And then it might be a bit easier for you to handle the whole drama that comes with it. But yes, marry for love, because at the end of the day, things that may happen, things that may cause problems and the derision and things like that, love will be able to take care of it. Love take care of it when people grow old. So if you love the person just for their body, when that body starts to wane as time go by, you will find yourself loving less and looking over your shoulder. But if love is the reason why you marry them, yes, you love the way they look and the way they speak, but if love is the basic reason for the marriage, then love will conquer those things. But if love was just a minor part of a broader issue, then you will find yourself struggling in that marriage to keep it together. So yes, Love conquers all.
You know, Pastor, whenever I speak to married persons, I always hear them say that communication is one of, if not the most, or the biggest problem that they experience in marriage. And, you know, we are taught that, you know, if you have your communication right, then the marriage will be successful. I just want to get your take on that. What do you think about the role of communication in marriage?
Communication is a very important issue, but it is a symptom of other pertinent issues. Remember, before you get married, you and the person are about, you're by the seaside, in the park, you're visiting here, and you're talking all the time. When you get home, or they spend the whole evening together. When they get home, you're still talking. So communication is part of people growing to love each other. The more you talk to a person, the more you fall in love with them. That's why sometimes you will see a couple and the girl is pretty like that, and the guy looking like the missing link. And you say, well, how did that happen? That happened because they keep talking to each other in spaces. The more you talk to people, the more you grow to love them. So communication is very important. But finance is a big one. The issue of finance ought to be discussed before you say, I do. You see, sometimes we just gloss it over, but finance come to the table. And if you have not discussed that finance, you have a lot of problems. You have problems like people saying, well, we have a joint bank account. That is good. But then you must have your own private bank accounts also. You see, having your joint account, it helps to pay the bills, the gas, the lighting, and the mortgage or the rent, the food, and things like that. But having your personal account, it saves you from a lot of conflict in the marriage. You see, if you have one account, and every day you taking money out to buy a dress, a shoe, it will affect the other person. And they will ask themselves, why? So to avoid that, you both of you are working for $10. They brought the money together, $10, and then you begin to divide. They say, okay, you working in Cedros, I'm working 2 miles from home. Then we are managing what we are doing now. For your expense, we're going to give you $2. But for my expense, it's 50 cents because and you break the money down like that. So the purpose of me having my own account is to avoid conflict. So it's my sister's birthday. I do have to go to the joint account and take money from my sister. You have one sibling. I have 4. So I'm always wanting money to buy something for one of them, and the nieces and the nephew and the uncle and things like that. But you have one. So if we have that joint account that the money is coming from, after a while, there's just a human nature that you will begin to think, so you are taking our money for your family. So when you have your own account, we have put aside that, we have this family account, and we have our own accounts. So when you have your own accounts now, whatever I take to buy for my family is not your business, and vice versa. So in that way, that issue of finance stays. Because if your finance comes when someone lost a job or get a reduction in salary, so all these things must be discussed, because first thing happens when people are feeling sore, when people are feeling disappointed, is that they cut the communication and they start to speak to each other less. And you're saying, but why are you acting like that? Maybe he has somebody here because I'm talking to me. No, there are issues. There are financial issues. There are other issues on the table. And those issues carry some problems that you may not understand. And you may simply say the problem is communication. So they may go by untrained counselor or untrained pastor or imam or pundit, and he might say, you need to talk more, forgetting there are issues that is creating the fall in communication. Communication do not fall off just like that. You got to understand that. You can be talking all the time, and now you're living together and you'll stop talking. There's something that creates the fall in communication. And sometimes a major thing usually is the finance, how we are struggling to get by. That creates problem. Infidelity creates problem also. And there are other reasons that cause foreign communication. Maybe the friends you are living with and you are working with, and you speak to your friends and you say to them what you're going on, and a friend, especially female friend, telling you, don't let him talk to you, so forget it. They are no man, no husband, but they are giving you advice on how to treat with your man and with your husband. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. So communication is not just people get together, they're talking today, and tomorrow they say, you know what? We can stop talking. No, it's a gradual thing, and it's a symptom that something else is happening. So once your spouse begins to talk to you less, you know it's something else is happening. He's not suffering from any kind of throat issue. It's something else is happening that we need to get undercover. And counseling, your counselor should come into the play earlier. Don't wait until you can't sleep in the night and you can't do anything to say, well, let's go by the counselor. No, no, no. Those are things are getting different. You are trying and it's still becoming different. Then you know it's time that we talk to somebody we trust. And don't let it be a family member, because the family member comes with the backing. So you let it be maybe your pastor, your elder, the family doctor, somebody who both of you respect and respect you all and want it to happen. And you talk it out. And then another issue that creates foreign communication is in-laws. Now, some of these in-laws are really outlaws, but the in-laws must know the barrier. They must know where this thing will stop. They must know that they cannot go this far, or they can go this far and no more. There should be a striving of both parties to embrace the in-laws and love the in-laws. But if the in-laws are becoming too intrusive, the party, you may not be able to tell him about his family, but he's the one or she's the one to talk to her family and say, no, this is my husband. He comes first. And this idea that I can get another wife, but I can't get another mother, that is evil. It's not biblical. It is stupid. It is crazy. And those folks don't like to hear the word stupid. But they are stupid people. There are stupid things that people do. Stupid is still a word. And we need to understand that. And people do stupid things from time to time. But we need, all of us do stupid things from time to time. But that's a different discussion. But I'm saying that sometimes the in-laws, in counseling you before marriage, he must understand the role of in-laws and guide you in understanding the role of in-laws. Yes.
Pastor, you spoke about, problems in marriage. A great deal of it, right? And I know a lot of people speak about as well counseling, to encourage communication. So my question would then be, so apart from the problems persons experience in marriage, does premarital counseling deal with the issues that actually happen in marriage?
Yes. In fact, as we say, premarital, before marriage counseling. And while we're doing the counseling, we are doing the counseling that marriage will be a great thing for you. So we need to look at the core issues in marriage. The first issue, as a core issue in marriage, is sex. Sex is a core. And a good marriage, especially in the beginning, must be good sexually, because sex brings bonding. So in the counseling, we must talk about sex, because sometimes we ignore it. Some of the counselor want to brush, so you don't want to talk about it. And the people are quite happy not to talk about it. And it is never spoken about. And then when you get into the marriage, we have all kind of drama. We have the husband saying that this is the Sabbath, so no sex. You have the wife saying she's too tired, but no sex. You have all kind of drama begin happening. And then I'm saying, going back to communication now, those drama that is happening create the ambience or create the atmosphere for non-communication. Because non-communication is not something that's set up by itself. So you make sure you speak about what are the core issues in a marriage. What are the things that the people do often in a marriage? And sex ought to be one. You know, St. Paul said, do not deprive yourselves from each other, only for prayer and fasting. So Paul is saying the only time you should not be interested in sex in the marriage is when you're praying and you're fasting. He said, but once you finish, get back to what the core of marriage is. You see, sex bond. And the bonding in sex create that love atmosphere and create that trust atmosphere and create the source and the joy of the marriage. And then children and parenting is another big issue. We got to understand that during that counseling process, how we are going to raise these children is a discussion that we must have. Is a discussion that we must have. What is needed? Because sometimes you have your own idea because of how your parents raised you, and I have my own idea because how my parents raised me. And when the children comes, I want to lay on how I was trained, how I was socialized. And you want to lay on how you were trained and how you were socialized. So we come to the place where I am saying train up the child in the way he should go, and I'm quoting, and you are saying do not spare the rod and spoil the child, but I don't believe that I should be using the rod, and you don't, and we have a lot of confusion. And then the confusion is passed on to the children, and they begin to give a lot of trouble. And you wondering why they are giving trouble? They are giving trouble because of how they had been socialized. And you find them leaving home on drugs, teenage pregnancy, all kind of stuff that you don't know where they got that from. Both of you are working, so you hire a babysitter. The babysitter now calling boyfriend. And these young people just cuss now, eh? And little Timmy playing the ball, he rolling up, but he hearing her and the boyfriend cussing and laughing. And more yet, sometimes she bring home the boyfriend, and little Timmy is exposed to a movie. All these things impacting. So rearing children are things that should be discussed with the counselor pre-marital. It should be discussed. And once these things are discussed in such a way, then what you find happening is that the couple will enjoy a more productive marriage, because when they came into the marriage, they came with the tools to deal with issues in the marriage. So you find once that is done, it happens. And then marriage must be a success factory. What I mean by that, your marriage, because it came from the Garden of Eden, should be a demonstration to people what God is all about and what marriage is all about. Now, I'm giving counseling one-on-one free here. I cannot go into deep things of it, because if I do, we just run out of time, and I want to cover a certain issue I think we need to cover. Okay?
Yeah, Pastor, on the topic of premarital counseling, as we're getting into that, I'm wondering now, based on what you said, if doing premarital counseling will increase the likelihood of a successful marriage, or if doing premarital counseling will guarantee that your marriage wouldn't end in divorce.
The big fat answer is no. But the statistics show that those who counseled before marriage, the figures are larger. I didn't work with those figures, but I know they were pretty larger, like all 70-something% and thing in the first marriage stayed together. But there are all kind of counseling. As I said, Reverend George must just counseling you according to how he and Sister Isabel live. And you are not Sister Isabel. So the things that Reverend George got through with Sister Isabel, it will be an criticism as far as you are concerned if your husband tried to do something like that. So it's a different way. But counseling take you down the road of handling conflicts. Now, if you're not counseled, you will not know how to handle that. So you might say, Braun, or I shout at you, you shout at me, we cuss out, and then we get back together, we make love and we patch up, and that cycle will come to an end. That cycle will eventually come to an end. So the counseling help you to handle conflict. I want to give you a quick thing now because time is running us on handling conflict. One of the ways of handling conflict is do not handle conflict while it is going on. So you came home there and your husband put his boots on the table that you just cleaned and you fry up. How you could do that? Did you see I just cleaned the table? Ah, la, 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 la. No, his instinct. He put that there because the thalamic region of his brain, his pleasure centers, he put that there because he felt good about it. When you begin to charge at him now, you create a situation for conflict where he will fight back. The best thing to do is to leave that boots right there. And tomorrow when you are in the kitchen washing dishes together or you are going down to the beach, you say, Harry, last week when they put that thing on the table there, I was really annoyed. Now he has no defense to make. He's willing to hear your annoyance now. So I want to say quickly, because I cannot counsel fully on the radio, but I want to say what you should understand is that dealing with conflict is always better to deal with it when it is over. The water line bursts and you want to try to stop that leak, you cannot stop it while the water is flowing. It may, but hardly likely. You have to turn off the water. There is no water there now. Now it's easier for you to fix that valve. And then there are things that you need to have rules in marriage. You see, if there are no rules, you just will counsel without the rules. Rules must be determined early in the marriage. And once those rules are determined early, you stick to it. Things become normal after practicing it over a period of time. So at first, it will seem mechanical what you are doing. But as you practice these rules, eventually it will come normal. We need to know what we'll do when we get into marriage. We need to know who will do the shopping, who will be fixing the roof, who will be doing the cooking, who will most likely take the children to school, who will be doing this, who will be doing that. These roles must be identified. It must not be taken for granted. And you have to walk and talk yourself through it. So when that time comes, it will be easy for you to do. And then you must have goals. Else the marriage will become stagnant. So you must have goals. You must set long-term goals and short-term goals and see the optimum value that can be achieved with those goals. And you bring those goals to the marriage. Marriage is a work into success. And if you do not see it as that, if you feel that the love will just take you through, you are very, very wrong. Love might hold you together, but the frustration will come if it is not set in a way that guidance can be given to the couple. And before we go on, Alex, I see it's 10 to, if anybody wants, somebody might be struggling with something and want us to talk about it. I don't know.
All right, Shirley, let's open the phone line, 622-4911. We're all struggling in some way. So feel free to call in, and Pastor, I'll let you know when the calls do come in.
Thank you very much. Yes, young ladies, what again?
Pastor, I heard you speak about finances and that being one of the main issues that couples experience in marriage, right? But I'm yet to hear you speak about infidelity. So I'm wondering, is infidelity not an issue that contributes to the separation of couples or the breaking down of a marriage?
But the reason I didn't talk about infidelity is because there's nobody who are practicing infidelity anymore. That was a long time thing. Anyway, let's get serious. Let's get serious. In all marriages, there are expectations and there are needs. These expectations and needs must be discussed. Because once expectation and needs begin to wane, you have the issue of infidelity. And infidelity do not start with someone saying, hey, today is a good day for me to horn boy. No, it doesn't start like that. It is never like that. It is what we call inference and counter-inference is a major part of it when expectation and needs are not being met. So, the young lady going to work, and some young man sees her, and he said, Joy, I really like how your clothes fit in you. I like that blouse you have on. Where you bought that blouse? And Joy happy to talk about it, and she said she bought it on Amazon and this and she good at it. And then the next day he asks her again, who is your hairstylist? I find you always on point.
Pastor, sorry, we have a call coming in.
Sure.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Pastor.
Morning, sir.
Good. All right, I listen to you. Hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, Pastor. Good morning to you and the congregation. I listen to it. I'm here. First time I listen to it. So, first time listener, first time caller. But
Thank you, man. Welcome, man.
You're welcome. Thank you. The topic you're speaking about is a very important topic. We need to speak about the dynamic and the connection between men and women. You know, men need to respect women and women also need to respect men in a real way. And I find today, and honestly, women, they have like a double standard. They want men to submit to them. And that is a major problem.
Corey, I'm not hearing you.
So, I listen to you.
Okay, I didn't hear what he said. Anybody can help me?
What you want to say?
No, I didn't hear what you started good, and then you went into your whole monologue there. Yeah.
Oh, my apologies. Are you hearing me good now?
I'm hearing you loud and clear now.
Okay, great. So I will start over. The topic about marriage and honesty and communication that you're speaking about is a very important topic, and I'm so happy to hear someone speaking about a topic like that.
Thank you.
And we need to broaden it in terms of like before marriage, before friendship starts, you know, just interaction, how we see each other. Because there are women right now, I speaking from a young man, 33 years of age, a single male, but I have been seeing women who appear angry and they have like a burning on the inside. Even though some women might appear calm, they deny it honestly and they find some way to be quote unquote power women. So some women might suppress it and try to pretend to be cool and calm, but they really looking to downplay men. And all they offering is that they just providing their body, they just providing their flesh. And men supposed to just accept that like a puppy, like a dog. And that is not okay. I don't know if you might be familiar or somebody else who hearing this might kind of understand what I'm saying, but I have seen it as a single man, women angry with me. Women who I don't know, they angry with me because I'm not willing to accept that from any woman. We are equal persons. We are human beings. You are pastor, so I'm coming into a religious but a normal sense. You are a woman, I am a man. We both are humans. I should respect you, you should respect me. Nobody should try to make anybody submit. Submission is not that shouldn't be a thing. So I don't want to take too long, but based on what I said, I would like your feedback. I don't know if you want to keep.
No, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, and I'm saying I am not against anything you said there. Relationship is a complex issue. And the reason why we are seeing so many divorces, this is part of the complexity of the whole thing. And you are bringing what you are bringing there is a new thing that is happening. And you are right. The education of the female is a good thing, but if we do not manage it with our traditional socialization, we have all the problems that you are talking about.
Because I will be honest, like in later years and past years, the trend in based on music and movies and television shows was a man was supposed to be a player, having multiple women just on like a companionship level. I was never a part of that. I didn't agree with that at all. But it transcended before the player man. It was women who should have equal rights in terms of being business women, managers in a business place. And from there, it transcended to the player men, and it's the woman looking. It's switched in terms of women trying to dominate men and command men and treat men like puppies. No matter how big or strong a man might be, she communicates to a man that all she giving you is whatever she decides to give you. Whether it's just conversation or that should not be right, because if a man does that, we will take that man.
Okay, Corey, you have until 10 o'clock. But thank you very much, and please continue
You're welcome.
listening and call again. Okay, Ben?
I really listen to your feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay then. Yeah, bye. Yeah, I was answering the question there that I think it's Akira, one of you asked. The issue of infidelity. Now, infidelity, as I said, is not something that happened because it was planned. It happens through mostly transference and counter-transference. And I was speaking about the person. I can't remember the name I gave the person. But I am saying that after a while, that young lady, because friend begot friend, as the Bible said, will begin to look, wait, and expect this young man to give her kudos, whether she have a husband or not. And what happened, after a while, she will begin to tell him, and that will be called counter-transference, where she begin to tell him things that his shoe is looking good and his haircut and things like that. And before both of them know it, they want to go to work. They're sick and they still want to go to work. There's a desire to meet each other. There's a desire to see each other. There's a desire to speak to each other. And before both of them are aware, they are in a way a pack of infidelity. One of the ways to treat with the inference and the counterference is that everything that happened during the day must be discussed with the spouse. Everything. And talk will bring talk. So then the issue of communication, you solve that one time. But also you begin to put yourself in a position whereby your spouse will have an idea what is happening with you, and you will have an idea what's happening with your spouse. And then you can point out when somebody make a move, because the man will know quicker when there's a move on the play. Similar, the woman will know quicker when a move is on the play. And then they can treat with each other. We are out of time, but my guy was saying, yes, what we are seeing in the social market is the issue of woman power. And women are not just wicked and get up and say, I'm going to put them under power. No, they are being socialized also by social media. They are seeing women with the gripe and men with the gripe saying things on social media, and people are buying into it. And what is happening there? Things that are not real, not right, not true, are bought into, and it is creating an atmosphere also in marriages that is causing men to pull away from marriage too. And plus, one of the reasons men are pulling away from marriage is because if you could get the cheese and the butter and the milk and all those things, men are saying, I can get all those things. I don't need to buy the cow. We are out of time. I wish I could have continued this, but we are out of time. And until next week, God bless you. And those, I'll give my number this time because somebody may want to contact me. 379-4859, 379-4859. And those who have promised me that they will give to the program, I need it. I cannot go to the radio station say, well, a lot of promises are on the way, so we could keep the program going. It doesn't work like that. So, Alex, have a blessed day. I gone over a minute again. Sorry for that. But you have a blessed day until
Thank you
we
very much,
meet
Pastor.
again. Yeah, okay.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
that. And to your guests as well and callers, thank you very much. Victorious Lifestyle every Sunday morning, 9 o'clock.